How to get motivated in 3 steps. Hi everyone, Dan back here from the Geek Physique for another video. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. Step 1, pain versus desire. These are the 2 biggest factors in your motivation, and pain is often way more powerful than desire. There's 2 really good examples of this I can give you. One is an analogy one of my mentors used with me, which is, what would you rather pay £1,000 for? Shoes that stop nails going through your feet, or to have nails removed from your feet? And obviously it would be the latter, because that pain would be unbearable. You would have to take action. Another cool example is, I think, an experiment from Jordan Peterson. I heard Jordan Peterson talk about it or refer to it through the Modern Wisdom podcast. I know that's a lot of references. But essentially, the point of the experiment was to show that they had, I think, rats running on a treadmill with like some cheese or some mice or something like that. But they wanted to see how fast they would run going towards the cheese, right? To show that's the desire part, right? What they're going to get if they get there. And what they found is, if they put a cat behind them, they ran even faster. So it was the pain of getting caught by something, right? The pain caused them to take action quicker than the desire of the cheese. So there's 2 really cool examples for you there. But what this brings us to is thinking about our own lives. I would confidently say, as being a guy who lives in the UK and, being the coach of the Geek Physique, I've spoken to over hundreds and hundreds of guys over the last few years, genuinely, and they from different ranges of backgrounds. The one common denominator between all the people that actually take action, regardless of what you might think as an outsider, is they have real pain from their point of view. So it's really all about how you feel as an individual about your current situation in relation to the goals you're trying to achieve. And if you were to achieve those goals, or weren't to achieve those goals, is the better way of thinking about it, what would your life be like? How much worse could it really get? If it's already quite bad, you want to make that pain as real as possible, and that's what's actually going to trigger change. Another way of thinking about this is, think about people who live some of the hardest lives on the planet. Genuine poverty. They're working all day, every day. They have no other choice, right? It's either work to survive or don't survive. Right? So for them, there's kind of no in between. Whereas, like I said, as someone living in the UK, we have some clients in other parts of the world as well. But what I've found is there is that in between for a lot of people. The pain is not real enough. And I'll give you 2 more things to think about here. Often, and I would include myself in this for a long time, and I still do this. I'm not perfect. We're all working on ourselves, but often a lot of us will take day-to-day actions because there's pain kind of built in, but we never actively think about it. And a really good example is our job, right? A lot of people, most people, will get to their job on time. They'll make sure they don't miss days and have loads of sick days or something like that, because of it may eventually lead to them losing their job. And then that would mean they can't pay their bills, which would mean they can't live and stay living in the place they live in. Or worse, if they've got a family, then they can't sustain their family. They can't provide for their family. That's the pain, right, associated with their day-to-day actions. So when they haven't had good sleep, or it's after bank holiday weekend, which it is now in the UK, and they've, been on the booze or whatever, and they don't feel like going to work, they still will get themselves to the office and do the work that needs to be done, especially with it when they don't feel like it, because of the pain associated with all of the consequences if they weren't to do that. And here's the last thing I want to leave you with on this step. This is often down to our environment as well. So, like, the pain of losing your job is something most people accept and wouldn't question. So when you say, I need to wake up for work in the morning, most of your friends or your environment or your family are going to be like, well, yeah, that's a totally normal thing. I get that, mate. Like, you need to, make sure you're able to to pay your bills, right? And to maybe sustain your family or whatever. Whereas if you flip it and think about it from a health and fitness standpoint, not as many people, I would say, are in that same mindset where it's just a thing that people would expect you to take care of in the same way as your job. And I've even seen an example of this through one of my posts I did where I was talking about calorie counting, and I was using the analogy of people will budget their money, but they won't count their calories. And budgeting calories and budgeting money isn't actually that different. And then the guy made a great point. He commented on the video saying, well, calories don't pay for my mortgage. And I actually responded, he probably didn't expect this, saying, it's a great point. I'm really glad you made this point, because actually, if you, what you're saying in a very simple, quick way is, well, this is the pain. If I don't go to work, I won't be able to pay for my mortgage. I would then lose my house, which is where my family live. And you can see all of the pains associated with his day-to-day actions, right? So all you need to do is be aware of your own pain, but don't rely on your environment for it. This is really key, because a lot of people have the same kind of idea of pain. And they might think you're extreme, but you need to ignore the noise, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with quote unquote regular people, but I'm assuming by you clicking on this video that you want to achieve something probably related to your health and fitness, maybe related in your career. And it's possible and quite probable that a lot of the people around you are living okay lives, which is a part of my point. And they're not going to have that same pain or desire to actually make a change and make their health and fitness a priority. They only really probably make it a priority when it's immediately in front of them, like the shoes analogy I gave you. So you need to take ownership of it and make it a priority yourself, and ignore the noise when people start saying things like you're being extreme, your life isn't so bad, etc. Step 2, how can you amplify your pain or desire, right? And there's 2 really good ways to do this. First of all, you want to get specific. And second of all, you want to use time. So the first one, specificity, is really crucial here, because you want to be very practical in when you're thinking about why you should take action, let's say with your health and fitness. I've had people, and they've been people that have really got the best results, say, I might not be around, Dan, if I don't do this. I might become type 2 diabetic. I won't be able to play with my kids or be there for my kids, right? Those are the people often that make the biggest change. Like I said at the start, they've got real pain, but more than that, the pain is very specific to their own lives. So, okay, if I still don't go to the gym, I still won't be confident. But what does that mean? Okay, maybe I won't have a friend group still, or maybe I won't have a partner, right? And I'll be alone. That is a very scary thing for someone, which is actually going to get them to take action, right? Another way of thinking about it, and you can build on it even more to make it even more scary, to give you an even bigger kick up the backside, is to use time. So, wow, okay, I might be alone, but then imagine in 5 years' time if I'm still in the same position, or probably worse. I'm not only going to be alone, I'm probably going to be even more socially awkward because I've been alone for 5 years, right? I know, again, even I think that's quite extreme, but you can see how something that extreme would probably be powerful enough for you to actually take action. So get specific, dig deeper and deeper and deeper. This is often what I'll do with people on calls, and it can make people feel uncomfortable, but it's what really gears them up. And a lot of times people say, Dan, you're really good at this. And obviously I've had so many calls, so you get better at doing this stuff, but it's really about helping them frame whether it's really a priority for them or not. And if there isn't enough pain, sometimes they just don't take action because their lives aren't so bad to them. And for those people, often, like I've not often, now I've got to the point with these people where I think I can't force people to make a change. I can only show them the way and help them identify their pain and understand if it really is crucial for them. If it's not, then my message to you would be maybe click off this video and just enjoy your life, because maybe it isn't so bad. But I'm assuming you're here for a reason, right? So amplify the pain or desire by getting specific with it and using time. Step 3, action equals wins equals motivation. This is why you just need to start. Before you use excuses like, well, I can't start, right? That's part of the reason I clicked on this video. Make it simple for yourself. And start small. You maybe go to the fridge, you open the fridge and you start snacking. You take those physical actions. Someone hasn't got control over you pulling the strings, right? As much as some people would like to use that as an excuse, they don't. So if you're able to do that, you're able to stand up and then squat down and stand back up and squat back down. That's squats, right? Or if you want to make it a bit easier, when you go to sit in a chair and stand back up, that's basically a box squat. That's genuinely an exercise I've given to some clients who are at that level that need to start that small and then build them up to real squats and then squatting with a weight and then maybe even with a barbell. And you can see how it increments over time. But starting small often comes with humbling yourself as well. But that is what's going to lead to motivation, because when you start small, you can celebrate the habits before the wins. Then once you've got the habits, you've been following them for so many weeks, you can then start to celebrate the small wins. And then when you've racked up so many small wins, they'll equal an even bigger win. And all of these things keep adding fuel to your fire, but you need to make sure you're measuring your progress and you're taking stock of these things, right? So you might say, but I've got no wins to start off with, Dan. That's why you need to celebrate the habits, right? Because it's not just about getting in shape. The people who the thing that you really want to strive for, is staying in shape. It's an infinite game, not a finite one, right? I heard Alex Hormozy talk about this recently, and I thought that's such a good way of putting it. And he made such a crucial point, which is the most meaningful games to play in life are infinite ones, not finite ones. Meaning things like having a partner or running a business or your health and fitness, all of these things, you don't necessarily win at them. You have to stay in the game as long as you can. And those are the real winners, because it's staying in the relationship for as long as you can. It's staying in business for as long as you can, right? Because you have to keep the business running. And same thing with your health and fitness. You want to keep your health at a good level, your fitness at a good level. And that all comes from the habits. But you can start celebrating those things very early on. You can look at who you were yesterday, compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not someone else today. So you didn't even think about your food last week, and now you've actually got an idea of how many calories you need for a day to lose weight. Great. Next week, you've got a really good understanding of how to track them. The week after that, you've tracked them almost perfectly for the week, right? Another way of putting it is weight on the bar. Especially when you first start out, it's really easy to add weight to the bar every week, if not every 2 weeks, right? Adding 2.5 kg to the bar, you're winning basically every week you step in the gym. That is another thing to celebrate. So then you can use the point from step 2 and amplify it out. Wow, if I keep adding 2.5 kg, of course, you're going to get to the point where the wins don't come as frequently. But by that time, you should have seen bigger wins, right? But it will lead me on to my last point, which is actually a bonus step of this video. Discipline eats motivation for breakfast. Something I got from the Modern Wisdom podcast. I think Jocko Willink said that, and they were quoting Jocko Willink, but it's such a crucial point. All of the people who stay in business, stay fit and healthy, stay in relationships, have the discipline. They do the hard things, especially when they don't feel like them. And it is honestly like a muscle, but like any physical muscle, you have to first train it and get the reps in for you to then have the strength to keep going. And it's like a nice positive feedback loop. The more consistent I got with the gym, the more consistent I got with my schoolwork, and then my college work, and then my uni work, and then I actually had a career I felt proud of Whereas before I got into the gym, genuinely, I couldn't stick at anything. I didn't have real evidence to feel confident in myself, to feel competent, which would then make me feel confident. So you want to get motivated by using the steps in this video, but realize it's only going to get you so far. After that, you are the sum of what you do, which is your habits. And that is what's going to make you the type of man who's in shape, or the type of man who has a business, or the type of man who's in a successful long-term relationship, if those are the things you want. So I'm going to recap, guys. Step 1, you realize there's a difference between pain versus desire. Pain is a lot more powerful, so you need to work out what your pain is and if it's big enough for you to really take action. Step 2, how to amplify your pain or desire. Maybe it isn't big enough and you don't realize how bad it is or how bad it could be. So you want to get specific with it, but you also want to use time to amplify it. And step 3, realize that action comes first in a lot of cases. And that will then lead to wins, which will then give you more motivation to keep going. And the bonus step was realize that you can't stay motivated. That's why I didn't make it the title. It's discipline, which you then have to have for the long haul. And there are going to be plenty of times you just don't feel like it. But like all muscles, it's something you can train over time, and it gets honestly easier over time. Before we close out, I just want to mention that we run a free challenge every few weeks to help you get your goals in under 3 hours a week without a strict diet or motivation. We mainly work with guys who are super busy, shift workers, dads, or business owners. Those are the main demographics of the guys we work with, between like the ages of, let's say, 25 to 40 at this stage. It's always changing slightly because we get new clients often, but the challenge is designed just like our training is. So it's only as much as 10 minutes a day, often even less than 5 minutes a day for each task, to teach you how to do more with less. Now, there's also probably going to be a video here or here. Make sure you like this, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.